Good morning everyone, welcome to my channel. So I'm back working on my page for my Edith Holden Roxy Journal of Stitchery journal. So the prompt is nest, and I'm still at the moment borrowing the nest for my winter piece, which is sitting in under that little bird, just made from twine and some eyelash yarn. But my nest for this piece will probably be a little bit more elaborate because I've also added to my pile of goodies to use a second colour and some of this feather yarn. But that's for another day. I'm just using this to work out exactly where it'll sit as I build my background composition. So the prompt is the nest. So the nest is my focus. Whether I do stitch into the birds, you know me, probably will. But at the moment, it's all about the nest, where it's going to sit, and I'm building the background. Now, for my eggs, I showed you this on Saturday's video. I plan to use these little buttons that have a shank so that I can just nestle them down in there. So they'll just be peeking through. So they're still sitting on my desk to grab when I'm ready. So what I've done since I've seen you last is I've cut out heaps of elements, a lot of them I'd already shown you, that I believe complement each other to collage around the nest, blending the whole piece together, and then the nest at the end will be plonked in the middle. So I had some fabric that I picked up out of my cupboard. I think that was a Spotlight yarn, but I can't remember. I've had it kicking around for years. That's definitely a Spotlight yarn. These leaves caught my eye. That's that guy. In amongst it, a bud was cut out. I've still got some leaves to cut out, but I thought I'll just do that with you guys. That was a piece of incompleted embroidery. That fabric that I first showed you is here. So I've got 3 roses and some foliage. My thought was, in the last video, that I would have some dimensional leaves coming out from the piece. So with that in mind, and being that I'm using quilting fabric, which can fray, just trying to be as gentle as I can, and that is embroidery fabric, I decided to go down the track of ironing on to Heat and Bond light. It's the lightest version they do. It's still a little bit unpleasant to stitch through, so I hope I don't regret doing this. But I've Heat and Bond a heap of elements on, fussy cutting them out, and that's going to, I guess, hold the pieces that are going to be in the air a little bit better. The rest I'll iron again, and they will be attached to the background. So that's the plan. I also found this, it was a napkin, I think, that had some elements also that I thought might help create like another plant that's growing through. So the theory is these little birds have a nest in an English garden that is made up of roses. So these little guys are sitting on a bigger shrub nearby, looking down into the rose bushes, hence, I guess, my theme. So now this is a double spread. Let me come up a little bit. I want to have all my bits around the perimeter so I can just choose them as we collage. Hopefully you can see all the little elements. It's really good when they're pre-prepped. I do have a big doily that matches this. These were 2 little doilies. So if I really digging that old doily, I can come back through and maybe Heat and Bond a bigger piece. I'm just finish fussy cutting out these last leafy little bits because they're the ones that potentially might be standing up over the edge of the nest. Of course, my inspiration is the one image out of the Edith Holden book where the nest is surrounded by leaves, like it's very camouflage. It caught Sarah's eye as well as a potential of, you know, building around it. So I'm just removing that backing. So that little guy is ready to go. And then we'll just nibble out some of these. So I'm not sure what day you're watching this video. I've lost track of when things are going up for you guys, but for me it's Friday. So you've watched one video already Saturday, which is me sort of getting this concept out of my head and so formalising some form of plan of attack. My husband's just come into the room. So what were you chasing, Gaz? I left his drink and a set of keys behind. So, yeah, so Saturday's video was getting the Edith journal sort of planned. And then my homework was heat and bond all the elements. I was only going to do these leaves that were three-dimensional on the nest. Oh, gosh, I hope I don't regret it. Susanna will be watching this going, you're going to regret it. I haven't stitched into heat and bond for years because, I don't know, I've just been free-forming and just stitching the fabric and not having that, I guess, I don't know, control over my furry edges on the fabric, the frayed look. I've just embraced it. It's been liberating. This feels like I've just stepped back into the 90s and I'm doing applique. So I had to dig to find a piece of this heat and bond, and it is a little old. So some of it didn't adhere real well, especially when it was on the embroidery. And I think it's because the heat had to get through stitching to catch the back. It just looks so plasticky. Oh my goodness, I hope I don't regret this. Anyway, what will be will be. To attach all of my pieces down, I'll pop the iron on them again. Might as well make use of the adhesive nature. Then I will find the finest needle I can so that it can slither through all of these layers, because now I put a layer of plastic in amongst my work. And so I'll probably chase down a beading needle, much to my horror of how that's going to play out on my fingers. But anyway, then I might get out my grandmother's threads from her wedding dress bridesmaid era. She was a seamstress. And try and match as close as I can these pinks, these greens, just so that it's not a white edge or a cream edge. So I don't usually do that. I usually just pick a neutralish colour like cream. So there's nothing there I want to salvage, I don't think. All right, so get the paper off. I think we're ready to go. I'm sure I've probably forgotten paper on some of them. They feel a bit stiff. Means the paper's still there. So I was also toying with the idea of squinching up the bottom of this lace, pushing it up. At the moment I have it pinned, but we'll see what elements we have here that maybe I can do that, but at the moment I've got it turned up. Let me just pull this up a little bit. See, I've got it turned here because I don't want it hanging down out the bottom of the journal, because when I slide it into my bookcase, that lace is going to get damaged. I don't want to cut it off because I just loved how the piece fit. But I could lift this up into here and make it a bit of a feature, which I'm sort of tempted to do still. But then some of these pieces would then come into here to make it look like they're peeking through and the lace is in behind. So, I guess that's probably my first decision. Do we do this? I like it. What about this big guy? So yeah, that's the plan in today's video. Let's see what we can pull together. Oh, I don't mind that. And then if I just use some little tacking stitches in there just to make that lace wriggle around a little. Pins. We need some pins. I'm going to pin that there. Can I pin through this? Yep. Good, good. I might just put my phone on silent because why do I get the feeling that someone's going to call? There we go. So there's an opportunity to even let that drift a little bit. So what can I put in under there that... Do we bring... Is there a smaller flower? Might need those leaves. No. What about there? Maybe I take those leaves off. They're gone. This is probably my most favourite activity in this slow stitch. Yeah, like that. Something across the bottom there. I could either tuck in some calico or I leave it just with the wadding. It's a beautiful wadding, so I'm not too concerned if the batting stays there. Then as I stitch this down, I might pop a few little pleats in here and there just to give... Okay, I still have this little guy. Maybe he could come up that side. Yes, 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 yes. Let's pin him. I want it quite an intense shrub. So it really feels like we're looking into the undergrowth. Maybe there's some lace I can find to go through here. That blue is really jumping out at me. Where's my container of lace? All my bits. Here we go. Go on, go create more mess. Actually, there's some elements here on top that came from Susanna's, here we go, Susanna's pack that I got recently. So don't dig any further, girl. Oh, just one little look. No, don't. Stop. Enough. Yes. Look at these. So these were with the cabinet card. Oh, I like that. I like that. Adding a little extra texture. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yep. What else is here? I am positive I will find something. Might move that. Oop. Move that up into there. Maybe that more onto the corner. And then maybe something else can sneak in here in the way of foliage or something. Oh, I don't mind that. Anything smaller? come back to that because I don't want to go and use all my leaves over here and then we don't get to play with the nest, because I can always go hunting for some more leaves to add in there. Let me pin that little guy in because he is staying. Right, I think we have a plan in the corner. All of those little bits will be stitched down. I will pinch that in the process just to make it feel like it's all squished into there with a little bit of texture. Okay, yeah, I love it. Okay, now this piece. Where's our nest? Now remembering we have a page fold happening here. There. So we need to be a little cautious of how this all sits. I think the nest needs to be dead centre over here. This is a nod to Edith and her, I guess, the era that she lived in, where the ladies would have been in the parlour doing embroidery. So I like the idea of having some lines in my image as well, like a bit of a sketchy feel without me doing a sketch. So what about some big elements first? Don't mind that. There's another big one. And here's another big one. I feel like I need something fine, and I cut this little guy out just to sort of soften the top edge there. Yes, I love how that matches. These colours here are, yeah, but they sort of pick up on the bird, so I'm okay with that extra tonal colour. Now this here I thought was quite interesting because they're a lot larger than everything else, so it's sort of bringing quite a nice chunky feel to the very bottom of the piece, but if they're too much, you can always not use them, but I think they're going to be okay. So it gives us this big space here to build in. So do we get this little guy in next? Do we bring the bird nest down a bit? So I can see more of that embroidery. Really, it's just a case of fiddling until it feels like it looks like something that's meant to look like. How do you like that for the theory behind it? I don't like how those fine little bits are going to be all over those holes. That needs to sit right up here so that I know it is safe on a flat surface. Hang on, we got this guy. He's nearly too intrusive there. I feel like he could actually come out down here. So maybe that comes more over. That tucks in more there. All right, leaves. So we could do some leaves in under here. That would blend that rose with that rose. I feel like that needs to come over the top or underneath. No, underneath. Maybe we can marry this up a little better sort of the wrong shape. If that was not on there, might be better. Sometimes having smaller elements is better for trying to make things blend. If that goes under there, that feels like it's natural. Got this guy too. Maybe doesn't really fit anywhere at the moment. Okay, got a bud. No. I think we're down to the point of, oh, hang on, we've got some of these elements. No. See, they're fine. I feel like they need to be out to the perimeter of the piece. Right, maybe there. Yeah, that I like that. This in here needs to be the start of some more leaves, I think. Sort of the wrong. Yeah, see, that's going to come that way. So it's starting to build up, looking in front of the nest. Maybe then this does that. Yeah, that's it. That's it. And I still have some little bits, so it might be a case of little ones like that could be tucked in behind. So the nest is, yeah, hidden but not hidden. And these little guys then, oh my goodness, this is going to be a challenge to stitch, but I think we'll pull it off. Little bits like that can come in underneath, so it looks like it's all connected. Yeah. So far, I like it. So, the challenge is to pin this. So I'll just methodically work through all of the big elements first and carefully pop a pin in. Then I'll take it to my iron. Oh, that's right, there's a napkin there, so gentle. And up into there. I like that in there because it just gives a bit of a break for the eye. It's pretty intense down the bottom here with all of these little elements. I wonder if I can remove my nest. Probably should make the nest, but I think we'll be right. Bring you up a little bit. It's about giving everything its little bit of space without the piece feeling like we're crowded. Just raising that a fraction. Tilt it up a little bit. This is going to be a challenge to stitch, guys. Oh, talk about make it hard for myself. But like usual, just start with invisible stitch. Get things tacked down so that, you know, nothing's moving. Then come back through with my outline stitch, which will be an overcast stitch. Very careful. Some of the elements will be so fine that I might just leave them because the heat and bond will hold that down, and then maybe I just stitch into the little rows. I'll just see how it goes, but I think it will work. Don't know about that. I actually feel like I want to cut away that wadding there, to be honest, and then have a bit of a funny little corner. I'll come back to that. So I've still got leaves, I've still got nest. I think that there would work as well, but just seems a bit obvious. You know what I mean? Maybe I can bring it down. Let's just have one more fiddle. I think everything's secure. No, it's not. Let's just slide these elements down a little. Very exciting. I got my passport back. I had to renew it in order to travel to America. So now I can apply for my visa. Yeah, see if I bring that down there. Now I can apply for my visa. We just do have to wait for Gaz's passport to come back from England. But they have it. And I would say it won't be far away either. Then we can get our visas stamped into the passport. Then I can start booking some more internal flights. So very excited. I was a bit disappointed when I went to do the internal flights and I needed the visa details to make the booking. And I was like, no, I just want to keep booking it and planning but it's all good. It's all good. I was just a little impatient. But anyway, I've got my passport, so we are not far from sitting back down and planning some more of the details of the trip. It's still there, but what I might do is be able to find some lace to sneak into there. But I feel like it's come down a little bit better. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to go away and adhere all this down, and I'll come back where we make the nest and finish off our piece. All right, guys, look after yourselves. Be back in a second. Hi, guys. I'm back. I just was sitting here stitching this and I thought I'll turn the camera on because I've sort of been thinking about this a little bit more. I haven't gone to the iron yet. What I'm doing is the classic tacking it down, invisible stitch, and then I can get rid of my pins. Then I'll apply the heat of the iron. I just don't trust that the heat and bond will adhere to all this texture of the lace underneath. I just feel a lot happier knowing that I have just whizzed around and invisible stitched all of the little elements down. And then I'll apply the iron, and then I can start doing a bit more decorative work. The other thing I was thinking about while I was sitting here stitching is to keep the theme of the field notes. I also need to pull out my paints and create my little swatches that I've done in previous, on this previous page. So, and even nest may be written. So there's still a few more little bits and pieces that need to be, you know, added to the composition to bring it into that feel note. I found an edge to put along here. It was a piece of a scrap piece of lace, and I cut that edge off to create this little element coming through here. It just sort of blends it all. It doesn't look like it's, you know, out of place or hanging around with no reason. So yeah, that's why I'm back, to say that I'm invisible stitching next. And as I go, just meandering around all these elements, I can get rid of pins. Then I'll go to the iron and just touch it all down some more with heat. So that's the plan. So it should work nicely. I still haven't decided what I'm doing with my backyard journal, inspired by where I'm living. I do have some Tim Holtz fabric sitting on top of the journal at the end of the table here. So I believe I have a colour palette, if you will. What I do to those pieces, I'm not sure yet. I wonder if I can see them here. Let's just have a little look. So I can take away all this rose fabric, because I believe I've got what I want out of that process. I also have this little bird too. I must not lose this. Let's tidy up a bit, girl, before we put Birdie's nest back with the bird. I have this little guy that's caught my eye, little wren, and I have those, a bit field notish maybe, and I have this fabric. Excuse me, I'm going to cough, I think. Love that. There's a nest and some eggs. So at the moment, that Tim Holtz fabric is sort of sitting quietly there, and then I've got that bird fabric too. So as for what I will do, who knows? At the moment, I just want to focus on not making too much mess, and working on this. I'll just put that over there and just keep invisible stitching. Sort of have lost track of time a little bit on the video, but that's all good. So I'm just working along this bottom edge, securing that little morsel of lace there. It matched beautifully. It's amazing what you can trim off things to build imagery. And like I said, I found a beading needle, really fine, and it's piercing through nicely. And I'd say using Grandma's threads, because they're fine. Oh my goodness. Now I've got a tickle. I'll thread paint into all of these elements, but I'll use her threads because they're fine. I think if I go pulling out cottons, they'll just be too chunky, and I'll just go down with a few little stitches, which will just help keep it all, you know, in place. As well as a little bit of, you know, texture. As for the background, I did toss around on Saturday's video doing running stitch through the background. We'll see. I sort of like the idea that it's not stitched to any great degree. What I could do is just come back with invisible stitch in a lot more spots to give it a dimpled look, where I've just sort of scooted through. That's a possibility. Something will come to mind. It's slow stitch for a reason, and it gives you time just to meander around your piece as you do all these different techniques to get you to the end result. That's why I like good old invisible stitch. It just slows Corrine's mind down. There's a pin in under there. Get rid of him and him as we blend this. Oh, my tummy's rumbling. There we go. Ow. Yeah, really good. I'm liking how that's coming together. That turned up edge of the doily, I'm using the little solid line of the crochet ring to give me an edge to the bottom of my piece. So I love how that's coming together. Oh, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. It's all well and good having all these flappy bits, but you do get caught on it all. Oh, this is good. I'm happy with this. I have now got something to stitch. Got a bit of a busy day, so I don't know how well I'll go getting to the stitching, but anyway, we'll see. You never know. Sneaky knot, because it comes unthreaded really easily. So just one little twist. I might even dig out some greens to stitch that down invisibly first. And this is all the cottons from Grandma's stash, just sewing machine cotton at this stage. Like I said, I might even use it to do a bit of decorative stitching into the piece. We shall see. I certainly have a plan. We've got 2 weeks, so which is great. We've got plenty of time to bring detail into it. Yeah, that's good. Oh, my sneaky knot even come out. Might end that, because I have got away from where I was on that corner. So I'm going to go back to the corner and work this area here, and I sort of want to have a look at this, make sure that that's just tacked down enough. Sneaky knots come undone again. There's only a little bit of thread left, so I might go to that area where it is standing up. I just only need a couple little well-placed stitches in here. One there. I want the edge to feel frilly, and one there. So I put like a little pleat. Don't catch. And then I can come back down, catch it there, catch that flower. I love how the napkin artwork is peeking through at the background. Now I'm working my way back to this flower. I'll go into the centre of hem. So all of that could be embellished too. Like, how far do you want to go with all this? You can really, once you get all your elements in position, then you can start focusing on little areas and thinking, well, I could do this and I could do that. Okay, I think that's probably the end of that thread because my needle's so long. Sort of not doing me any favours, but it's a slithery, sharp, good needle for piercing through. And I think too, by using my sewing machine threads, allows me to use this needle, because if I start going into things that are thicker, to hold the thread alone, you've got to change your needle up, and then you're starting to put pressure on your joints as you're pushing needles through, which makes it very unpleasant. So I think in the future, if I decide to do heat and bond, it'll have to be thread painting. This is my new rule for myself. It'll be thread painting with sewing machine threads with a fine needle. No use struggling. I'm going to put a second knot in that because that did sort of come undone, didn't it? So let's secure you. Got a nice long piece which will probably get tangled on everything. Now I might just work this area here. Just pull that down there with a stitch. Like so. And then anchor that little flower. And then I don't mind where that actually sits. I don't think I need to do too much pleating, but I might pop a little pleat there just to bring that down away from that artwork. Just a little stitch will do it. Okay, back over here. I think too, using this gauge of needle, if I want to put a few little stitches into these little guys, being that there's that paper there, I think it'll certainly lend itself to that a lot better than a crowbar of a needle. They're tiny little birds, like little stitches in there will be beautiful, I think. But we'll see. We've got a lot to do here. So now I'm coming into this old piece of embroidery. That little lacy element's got a few stitches. So let's get that secured. All right, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll see you in the next video.